Yo, Scrawny with the skinny, post-major depression. It happens. It's real. But luckily for us, the Counter-Strike train don't stop. All aboard. IEM Chengdu. We've got an HLTV fantasy event that's broken up across groups and playoffs. I'm pretty surprised to see a divided groups and playoffs for Chengdu. It's one of the smaller IEM events, but alas, happy to see it. No more double point shenanigans like we had at the major. Goddamn, that came out of nowhere. Corn dogs didn't quite fly too high when it came to the playoffs. I'm a sucker. I fell for that Spirit Mouse shebang. All in. All 5 of my players got eliminated in their first games. What more do I have to say? All right. God damn. I'm happy that I even got a point, let alone 2. So let's not think about the major. That one's done and dusted. We focus forward. Right now, we are still sitting outside of the top 10. I had like 3 solid events in a row going. We were building some momentum, baby, on that train to Chengdu, and then, brick wall. God damn it. Stuck outside of the top 10 still. So we're trying. Groups, we've got classic divided brackets. Now, the beauty of this one, I think, is that I can still be a Mouse fanboy, can't I? Oh, Scrawny, when will you stop? Not until they're in the playoffs will they fall. Mouse getting to playoffs is basically as consistent as FaZe getting to playoffs at the moment. Now, FaZe are also therefore more consistent and get to grand finals, which is something we'll take into consideration when we're talking about playoffs, but we're talking about groups. And up here in the Group A of this event, I think that Mouse have a nice clean road. G2 beat 9Z, Heroic beat Liquid, Furia beat Lin Vision, Mouse beat Tai Lu, Mouse beat Furia. It could actually be Lin Vision, dude. This is a best of 1. I have very little stock in Furia. I think that this Furia BO1 has the highest upset potential of the 4 games, and then I would say 9Z over G2 could be an upset as well. I think Liquid's Heroic, that's a 50-50 to me, so I'm not even going to call it an upset no matter how it goes, but Heroic's performance at the major just leads me to believe they'll be better. I do not put it past Twists or NAF to go crazy in some kind of a BO1, but I'm not going to put stock in Liquid in BO1 opening games. I'm not going to put stock in G2 in opening BO1 games, and we'll get to Group B. So as said, G2 versus Heroic. I'm taking G2. I think Monacy's playing super well. He's the best op in CS2 at the moment. I almost said something crazy. Another great opera at the moment in group stage games, Torji and Mouse. Again, Mouse just have to get over the playoff hurdle. This ain't playoffs. They're going to be playing in the hotel just like they were in Copenhagen. And that means that they're going to beat Tai Lu. They're going to beat whoever's here, and they're going to be up in that upper final. And then I'm going to say Mouse, much like the first stage of the major that they ended up attending, I'm going to say Mouse take first place in this group. My faith is not shooketh because of the Copenhagen failure. I blame the dickhead that rushed the stage. That's right, full cope. The comeback was just around the corner. Group B, FaZe are going to beat an Amiga. Astralis are going to beat Monty. Cloud9 are going to smoke FlyQuest. Virtus.pro beat Wildcard. There is a huge gap in terms of team at this event. And this is why I think like everything I'm going to say here is just kind of it's all hard to pin down, I think, with this fantasy event, just because the gap between teams and caliber of Counter-Strike is so great that there is for sure going to be some ridiculous 13-2s, 13-1 stomps, and there's going to be players that just have so many goddamn points. This is one of those events where like the fantasy is going to be hard to predict because you don't actually know which 1 or 2 matches could end up skewing so much of the top percentage teams. So is what it is, right? Look out for those bronze cards. Don't get tempted. That's my strat. You'll see. FaZe versus Astralis. I think this game's got some upset potential on it. Again, I expect FaZe in the grand finals, but I don't know if I expect them to get there without dropping a map, and this is all that Astralis have had to practice for quite some time now. Of all the teams coming to Chengdu, Astralis have a lot to prove, man. You can't fuck up at the RMR and then have nothing to do while all these teams are in Copenhagen, need I add, right? What, Astralis hasn't had teams to practice with? It's not like the major took all of the best teams into another continent for X amount of time. You tell me Astralis wasn't practicing with everybody staying Right down the road? Absolutely not. They should be game day ready, and I think they could be problematic for FaZe. But I'm still going to say FaZe tops the group, and then I'm going to say Cloud9 beat Virtus.pro, but that has upset potential down here for this upper semifinals. And then whoever is in this versus FaZe will win, because FaZe love to start a playoffs bracket in these formats from the quarterfinals instead of the semis. So FaZe versus Cloud9, and Cloud9 beat them, qualifying straight to semifinals alongside MOUZ. Want to see the draft? There it is. Boom! As mentioned, Cloud9 and MOUZ, the two teams that I think are going to end up topping their respective groups. Now, let's go through it. That's a little teaser. So we go down to Cloud9 right away, right? Like I said, FaZe will make playoffs, but the moment with FaZe, it's the only player who kind of appeals to me here is Rops at 210,000. He had a bit of an off major, but it's the classic like rotating door of FaZe. There's always 3 stars here. It used to be Twists, and then whenever one of the 3 gets lower priced, that's the guy you pick with Kerrigan. So if you're going all in on FaZe and you think they're coming in with a vengeance because of their grand finals loss in Copenhagen, go ahead, pick Rops, Kerrigan, and build out from there. The only player that interests me on G2 at the moment is m0NESY. Too expensive, so I'm not putting all my stock in G2. The formula financially just ain't in place for me. When I get to MOUZ, this is when suddenly, you know, you could lean into Brolin and Yimfat with Shuhei. I'm a little disappointed in Shuhei's individual level lately, to be honest. I've been picking him, and I've been picking him, and I've been picking him, and it just kind of, it ain't what it was. You know, Shuhei used to be a little bit less expensive, and I feel like that kind of justified it. But they've been winning so much lately that just all of MOUZ in general, I think, are a bit too pricey, right? Yimfat and Brolin at that price tag. That's why I'm going to go with Torzy, because, again, specifically it's a group stage. Maybe if it was quarterfinals and it wasn't versus a team like G2 or FaZe, I would go with Brolin and I'd put my faith in him. But if I'm going to do anything on MOUZ, and the only reason, bro, the only reason that I'm still sticking with MOUZ and not taking a different formula is I think their run is fucking easy. You open up versus Tai Lu, and then you have Lin Vision or Furia after that in a best of 3. And then you're guaranteed playoffs. I have been looking at these teams and who to draft for quite some time, and I've been thinking to myself, like, I'm not going to fall down that MOUZ trap again, but it is such an easy run. It's the easiest run, you know. G2 goes up against Liquid or Heroic and vice versa. FaZe has Astralis to deal with. Cloud9 have Virtus.pro to deal with. There is nobody in the way for MOUZ in terms of this playoffs as far as I'm concerned. So, Torzy, Shuhei, because of the price point. You could dump a little more money on Xerxen if you really wanted to, but I think Torzy's op back in Copenhagen leads me to believe in the fact that he is having a good month and will keep it running. We go to Cloud9. You know, I think somebody who's impressed me in their consistency with C9 has just been Hobbit. And then Axile, dude, I wouldn't touch this guy with a 10-foot pole, but his major was looking really good. He was looking very improved heading into the playoffs, particularly the top 16 stage in order to qualify them for playoffs. So with a little hesitation, I'm believing in Axile at the moment. And then this choice of Mir. So I guess if you're going to put more faith in VP than Cloud9, right? Let's say you only take Hobbit or only take Axile. I'm thinking Norbert was this star at the end of 2023 who's kind of burned out a little bit. And in his place, I think Mir has been finding some nice success lately on an individual level. He's finally getting a few more multi-kills, which is a department of Mir's gameplay that I think he's always struggled in. And for that reason, at 189 on a team that I think could upset Cloud9, again, guaranteeing playoffs, but then just having to take one loss prior to it, I think Mir at 189 is a nice steal. We take the risk of the double Cloud9, who, again, I think their run is pretty solid. They only have to deal with Virtus.pro. I don't think FlyQuest or Wildcard pull off upsets here. I think it's a solid team, man. We dodged all the bronze. MOUZ, because they have the easy run. It's hard for me to co-sign MOUZ fully at the moment after getting burned on playoffs, but I should have seen it coming. I'm a MOUZ fan after all. I know the success stops once they hit the big stage. Luckily, Chengdu has a separate event for playoffs where we can then write off Mouse accordingly. But until then, we go group stage stars, double Mouse, double C9, and a little sprinkle of that VP magic. I think, again, look at the opening games, boys. Tyloo, FlyQuest, wild card. Give me that 1%. I've earned it. Good luck. Talk to you guys soon.